everybody? It's Aaron and Robert. We're back, and we've been on hiatus for a little bit, but we are back, and we're doing some reviews this week.
Woo!
SnyderCut, which we've been talking about
Zack
for months.
Snyder's Justice League, the official title of this movie. We have been talking about it for a long time. 4 hours, cut up into 6 parts plus an epilogue. And actually, I think as things like that go, I liked the way that it was cut up. I thought it actually flowed well.
It helped it a lot, I think, because then you knew what was going on, and then you kind of had that almost that intermission. Like, okay, I'm gonna pause real quick. I'm gonna do something.
Yeah, I mean, literally the day it came out, I didn't have 4 hours in one block.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think I watched part 1, and then the next segment I watched parts 2 and 3, and then after that I think I watched part 4, and then I finished off with 5 and 6 together. Like, so I watched this over several periods. It was all in the same day, but I didn't have 4 hours to just watch it.
Oh, same. I think I watched the first hour and a... Well, I guess it would be the first 2 parts when it came out. Then I think I watched one more part that night, and then I picked the rest up the next day.
Yeah.
So I watched it across 2 days.
As we get into this, spoiler alert, we are going to be spoiling it. If you are here to be like, hey, I want to know how this is different from the 2017 version, I don't have that. I watched that version once. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. But, like, I don't remember enough about it to, like, compare the two, really. Yeah. I think we're going to talk about this movie.
We're just going to stick with this one. I know enough to be dangerous, but not, like, every little detail to be like, oh, yeah, this is where Josh Whedon put his... No, I don't know all that. I don't care enough to know all that.
You could tell in the first... Like, I remember watching in 2017, watching it on the big screen, and I know enough about Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
I know enough about Joss Whedon. Pretty much every scene you could pick out and go, oh, that's a Joss Whedon scene. That's a Zack Snyder scene. There were a few that were still in this cut that I was like, oh, I thought that was a Joss Whedon scene.
Yeah.
So, not everything, but a lot of it, like I remember, the conversation between Bruce and Diana where he's taking off his armor, clearly a Joss Whedon scene.
Right.
The opening with Superman, CGI lip.
God, yeah.
Clearly a Whedon scene. Like, even, the post-credit stinger that was, like, Flash and Superman racing. Like, clearly Whedon.
Yeah.
So, like, there were some of those things that obviously are not in this version. But, yeah, I think, getting into this movie, I think there's a lot here. Obviously, 4 hours. And the first thing I'll say is there is zero way this movie, this way, could have been released in 2017.
No. Not at all.
It could not have happened.
There's no way it would have happened. And honestly, it's a okay movie still. You know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread kind of thing. I'm like, no, it's a better movie, yes. But if I had 4 hours to tell a movie, I better be better than the hour and a half, 2 hour long movie for the 2017
Well,
movie.
and I think part of what makes it better is that it's just cohesive.
Yes.
The first Justice League movie that, was released by Warner Brothers in 2017 was a Frankenstein movie. And you could tell that it was stitched together from different visions, that the way characters were interacting with one another from scene to scene didn't always jive up. And so this is truly Zack Snyder's vision.
Yeah.
And if you are a Zack Snyder fan, I mean,
you're gonna love it.
He's made 3 superhero movies before this. He made Watchmen.
Oh, Watchmen. I forgot Watchmen.
He made... Man of Steel, and he made Batman v Superman.
Right.
And so, if you've seen those Zack Snyder superhero movies, this is a 4-hour Zack Snyder superhero movie.
Yeah.
And that's, that style works for a lot of people. It's not my favorite.
No.
And I think the biggest problem that I have with this movie is the same problem I had with Man of Steel, and the same problem I have with Batman v Superman, is that these versions of the characters that Zack Snyder is giving us are just not characters I care about. That doesn't mean that they're badly made characters. Like, he clearly has a design and why he does it. So I'm not trying to, like, shit on him. It's just, these are not the characters I want. The Wonder Woman in this movie is not the same Wonder Woman from her first solo movie. I love that Wonder Woman. This Wonder Woman ain't that.
Yeah.
This Batman is not my favorite Batman. This, Aquaman, I just don't care for Surfer Bro Aquaman. I didn't like his solo movie either. Yeah. And this has clearly always been Snyder's vision. He was this way in the Whedon cut too, and I didn't like him then either. Yeah. So it's not like I'm just throwing crap at Snyder. This is the vision he wanted to do. I'm glad he got to do it.
Yeah.
But, honestly, my biggest problem with this is the only character I cared about was Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really similar to the first Justice League. He was the only character I ended up liking.
Yeah.
Because I liked Cyborg. Flash, I think, was okay.
Yeah.
But I don't care for Batman. I don't care for Wonder Woman. I don't care for, Aquaman. I don't care for the sort of Superman that we get. No. It's just, these aren't the characters that I want to see in a Justice League movie.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100% because for me, I've never liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I didn't like him as Daredevil. And I always said, in some of the shots, I felt like he almost had a beer belly in some of them. And this one, the way he edited it, it didn't look as bad, but he now just looked like a big, bulky looking guy.
Well, I think part of that was that in the reshoots, he had put on weight. And so, so these, apparently, according to all the reports, they only shot one new scene. All of this was footage that Zack Snyder had shot.
I don't know if I believe that.
It's questionable, but
yeah.
the one new scene they shot, which by the way was the final nightmare sequence, and
that's where he looked. And I'll say this though, Affleck looked the best in that scene. Like I feel like he had lost weight maybe by that point. Yeah. He looked good again. Like I'm like, oh, that's the Ben Affleck I remember from Chasing Amy from the '90s and the early 2000s. And I'm like, that's a good looking Ben Affleck. Not this gritty, chubby, beer drinker looking one. Because when I saw him at the convention shortly after Justice League was released, I even said, I was like, he has a beer belly, it looks like in the movie. And then I saw him in real life, and I stood next to him, I'm like, he doesn't look big. He looks way thinner than I do, and way thinner than he did in the movie. But in the movie, again, they could have added padding to make him look, they're trying to make him look big and buff, but that's never... To me, that's not Batman. Batman's not going to stand there like this.
100%. And that's definitely, just to segue real quick, part of the reason why I think Robert Pattinson is actually a great fit is because he looks like a ninja.
Exactly.
Which is kind of what Batman is supposed to be. Like, he's supposed to be the shadow. He's supposed to be the guy you can't see. Yes, he's big. Yeah. But he's supposed to be... He's supposed to be lithe.
Yeah. He's like trying to bench 400 pounds.
No.
He's not gonna be like.
He's not doing the workout scene with the tire.
Exactly.
Like we got in BVS.
No, he's gonna be the guy that's like, he's gonna be lifting maybe 100 pounds or so, but he's gonna get toned. He's gonna get lean. Mm-hmm. He's gonna, but like you said, he's agile. He's supposed to be quick and fast. Yeah. And it's like, cool. That's what I want. And that's why I don't like Affleck because he just seems like he wants to. I'm gonna walk in a room like this. Like remember, I'm big and fight.
So this movie is tonally consistent.
It is.
It's very long, and I feel it too. Like there's so much setup in this movie because once again DC rushed this movie. We get much more backstory on Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman.
Yep.
Because if you rewind to when this movie was supposed to come out, this is before Aquaman's movie, and of course Flash still hasn't had his movie, and Cyborg hasn't had anything
and he's probably not going to get one now.
Correct. And so there was a lot of heavy lifting to do in this movie to get you to care about half the team. And really, when you think about it, you had Wonder Woman, whose movie I think was coming out that same summer. So I don't even remember if that preceded this or not. I think the first Justice League came out, I think that was before Wonder Woman.
I want to say it was.
I think that was in June, and I think this came out in March, maybe.
I want to say you're right because I think it's right. I think it is afterwards because that was the only character like people wanted to see.
Which literally we'd seen one Superman movie, a Batman v Superman movie that had cameos of all of these characters,
right?
A real one from Gal Gadot, and then just like scenes of the other ones, and. So this movie has so much work to do to establish these characters.
Yeah.
That just honestly, and so that's where you get the first hour and a half.
Right.
Is you're establishing the characters. They don't become a team until halfway through this, which is also a normal structure for this type of movie. It's just usually that's an hour in instead of 2 hours in.
Exactly.
And so it's like halfway through this movie is 2 hours, and we still have 2 more hours, and we don't get Superman until 2.5 hours.
Yeah, you don't get to like almost the end. It felt like.
And,
like really.
And it's just. It's very bulky. Again, there's a lot that's really good in that backstory.
Yeah.
But there's also stuff that you look at and you're like, okay, that's the scene that would have been... Like, if they were actually releasing this theatrically and it had been Zack Snyder taking it to fruition, like, there's a lot of scenes that they would have gone, that needs to be cut. That needs to be cut. That needs to be cut. Yeah. Everything is left in this version.
To me, I think you said it best offline. The first hour could have been cut. And that's probably what they would have done. They would have cut that whole first hour
well,
and be done.
And the thing is that I'm glad we got the backstory on Flash, Cyborg, and even Aquaman. Even though I don't care for this version of Aquaman, all of that backstory helps this movie.
It does.
It does not hurt it. It helps it. It hurts it because it's 4 hours long.
Exactly.
But it helps the actual characters. So I like all of that. I do want to specifically point out one thing that really bothers me.
Yeah.
About this movie and about these versions of these characters.
Okay.
And the scene I want to highlight is actually the Wonder Woman scene where she goes up against the terrorists.
Okay.
And so it's her kind of establishing action.
That wasn't the first one too, wasn't it?
There was. Okay. It was a shortened version from what I remember. I don't think it was quite as long.
Okay.
This is much more violent, much more visceral. And that really is where my problem lies, is that in the Wonder Woman movie, the first Wonder Woman movie, the very end of that movie, she's confronted, Ares is confronting her and telling her, kill this scientist because men are evil, men are weak, like all this stuff. And she makes a choice, a very clear choice, that no, I don't believe that. I will choose to believe in love, I will choose to believe in hope, I will choose to believe in humanity, despite the fact that some of them are not good.
Right.
And so you get this character making that personal choice. Now fast forward 100 years in the timeline, and she not only just absolutely murders these terrorists with, no qualms about it.
Obliterates the last one too.
But it's almost like she enjoys it. And then the problem that I have is you can tell that version of a character. You can make a murder Batman, which Zack Snyder has done. You can make a murder Superman, which Zack Snyder has done.
Yeah.
You can make a Wonder Woman who makes this choice and doesn't have any qualms about killing evil people. You can make that choice. But what you can't do is in that same exact scene then have this little girl look at her in awe for killing people and have her go, you can be anything you want. It totally doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
And it really bothers me the way that Zack Snyder has cast these characters, because he casts them as people who are like gods and have, almost like uncaring gods. But then at the same time, he wants to tell you, but they're inspirational. Everyone loves Superman. Everyone loves Wonder Woman. And it's like, no, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
And I don't think the versions you've given us make me want to love them either.
Right. And I agree 100% because they all are, like you said, you don't like murder Batman. You don't like that they kill.
Again, it's not even that. You can make that version, and I could find that interesting. I don't like Zack Snyder's version of this. That's what it is. Okay. And I haven't liked it. I think maybe at the end we'll talk about the four DC Extended Universe movies that Zack Snyder has put out, which are Man of Steel, BVS, Extended BVS, and now this Justice League. And maybe talk about which ones we like best.
Yeah.
But I will say that I just don't care for his versions of these characters.
Right. And I don't know. I don't like any of them. And I want to go to this. I want to go to who our villain is in this one.
Steppenwolf.
We have Steppenwolf.
Or is it
again.
Darkseid?
And Darkseid felt more like the Thanos at this point. I come around when I need to.
Yeah, early like phase 2 Thanos, where we got him in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's in the chair. Mm-hmm. We get him kind of threatening people.
And that's what Darkseid did this whole time.
Yeah.
And we
see one action beat of him in a flashback that's really weird.
And I want to start with that actually. So I love Darkseid. I'm a Darkseid fan. I'm a Thanos fan. I love them both. And Thanos is supposed to be a carbon copy kind of Darkseid. So maybe that's why I like Darkseid. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. I always think he's an interesting villain.
Yeah.
So going with him, we get the fight scene that we got in the first Justice League.
Yeah.
The whole thing. We see the Green Lantern come. They they comment that Space Warriors helped, and in this one you get a little more of a fight with him, and he cuts the ring off, and then he almost grabs the ring out of thin air.
Yeah. And so, honestly, everything with Ares and Zeus, I don't remember any of that from the first cut. I think that's all new.
Yeah. None of that was in there. So they're all fighting Darkseid. Obviously, Darkseid slammed the ground for some reason, and you see this thing light up.
It's the anti-life
equation. Yeah. It lights up. Now, I know Darkseid is supposed to be younger, so he's supposed to be like a kid, essentially, or a teenager.
This is millennia ago.
Like 5, because they said that happened like thousands of years ago.
Yeah, it's like the first age is what, like the Amazons refer to it as.
Exactly. So we're talking thousands of years. So he's supposed to be young, and they're fighting and all that, and then Ares gets the strike in on Darkseid's shoulder, and he's bleeding, and they retreat. And the only time he's ever retreated, they said, was in this fight.
He's never lost a battle until now. And this is where I have the problem, and I think we're going to talk about it.
I'm going straight there.
He's never lost a battle before.
Right.
He has to leave the mother boxes behind, and he has found this anti-life equation, which I guess maybe you could say at this point in time, maybe he doesn't know exactly what it is. Maybe. But later in the movie, we find out that, this is the world we've been searching for.
Steppenwolf does the same slam, sees the anti-life equation, like,
which is like in a vision. The mother boxes show him that
it's here.
And again, it's like this is the world we've been searching for. And I was like, in the moment, as I was watching it, I was like, what do you mean been searching for?
Yeah,
like,
Darkseid found it thousands of years ago.
You were there. And if it was so important, why didn't you just come back a week later?
Yeah.
After you healed up, or
come
even
back with even more men.
Or even
weapons.
maybe, 1,000 years later when the Amazons have retreated and, the Atlanteans are underground now. This is pre-Superman, so there's no, why would you not come back if it's so important? And they just literally never explain it. They never tell you.
And I get mad at that because that's the whole reason for Darkseid. Anytime he hears where the anti-life equation is, no matter what he's doing, he could be about to kill Superman. And he's like, "What anti-life equation?" He'll drop him and he'll go do whatever that is now because he is so gung-ho about the anti-life equation.
And they do that in this movie. The first time we see him, or Steppenwolf sees him, is when he's like, "I found the anti-life equation," and Darkseid's like, "What?
Hold up, what? Yeah,
what? Okay."
It's on this one planet that we lost thousands of years ago. I don't remember that.
It makes no sense. And then even the very end, when Steppenwolf gets defeated and transported back to where Darkseid is,
off,
through the boom tube, and the Justice League is just staring at Darkseid, and I'm like, why isn't Darkseid stepping through the portal?
Dude, exactly. Not even that. Omega Beam. Superman's dead. His Omega Beam is supposed to kill anything. Yeah. He should have been watching this fight. Had the parademons tell him what's going on. Okay, the biggest threat may be...
Well, the boom tube was open the whole time.
Yeah.
So he literally was watching the fight.
And it's like, okay, so the worst one, maybe it's really Batman because he's a cheetah, whatever. Omega Beam, he's dead. And they showed the Omega Beam off once, killing an Atlantean underwater. When in the vision that...
that was a nightmare one? Yeah.
Yeah, where he has Aquaman killed by where Cyborg sees it, when he touches the box.
Yeah.
He sees Cyborg, sees Aquaman stabbed by his own Triton, by Darkseid, while Darkseid just shoots the Omega Beam, looking at Aquaman, shoots it behind him to kill the other person. And I'm like, so you showed how powerful this Omega Beam is.
Right.
He literally could have killed Cyborg or Flash or Batman like that. Yeah. Say maybe Wonder Woman and Superman could take the hit, maybe... But he could at least have killed one of the other three.
Well, Aquaman's up there in this world with Wonder Woman.
He's up there, yeah.
We don't know exactly. And none of them, the reason that they bring Superman back in this is basically the same reason from the first time, is that we can't defeat Steppenwolf by ourselves. And we need Superman.
I think this is something we have to talk about randomly. This is supposed to be the Justice League. They're supposed to team up and do everything, but literally Superman takes him out like that. And it's just like, okay, the only reason he stopped is because he saw Lois Lane. He could have killed all of you and been like, cool, I'm good. And we got the same thing.
That scene is so weird.
Yeah.
It's never explained why he all of a sudden just wants to kill all of them.
Yeah.
There's no... clearly he doesn't have his memory, but you're telling me, once again, this is the reason I don't like this character. His default setting is murder?
Exactly.
It's just, as soon as he sees them, he looks at Cyborg and says, oh, he's got some weaponry on him. Cyborg's self-defense system activates, and he's like, okay, I'll murder all of you.
Yeah, and he has super hearing, so he had to hear Cyborg, I can't control it, it's not me.
Yeah.
Oh, and not thinking, he doesn't want to shoot me, it's something else is going on. Dodge. Maybe I should try to help him. Now I'm just going to murder him. I'm going to rip his arm off and kill him. Okay, cool.
And then,
And then, I don't know. I don't like that scene. And then...
The only part about that scene that I like, which is, I liked it in the first one, is when Flash is, running and Superman, sees him, and you could just see Flash just what the...
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't supposed to happen.
Exactly. And I give it, that's the fun one.
Yeah.
Watching this one, I get why you don't like the whole, the hands
thing
more, and I saw it
he's
so much
running
more.
like an idiot. He's just... I'm like, nobody runs that way.
That's the only thing I could think of, because it was so predominant, though.
Okay.
I don't know.
So let's talk. I mean, there's so much setup. We finally get the team. Superman returns. We get some stuff with him reuniting with, of course, Martha, as well as Lois, and like that. Yeah. Again, the scenes, individual scenes, work really well, I think, and it even flows pretty well. And you get to the end, and I like this version again. Just slightly comparing it to the previous version. Flash has so much more, and it's important in this version.
They show his powers off a hell of a lot more, too.
Basically, he's the reason they win. Because they lost, and then he has to reverse time in order for them to win.
I do like that for this because... And I don't know if they're still doing the film for Flash or not.
Supposedly they're doing Flashpoint.
Which is Flashpoint Paradox, where he does turn back time to save his mom, and all this other shit happens, essentially. Right. And I like that we got to see that here, like that glimpse of he can turn back time.
And they you know what, they did the Chekhov's gun with it, and they paid it off. So I will give them credit for this. When they brought Superman back to life, he was running fast enough. You saw things reverse, like the picture started to come out of the water, and so they set up that he could do this in that very brief scene. I like Snyder, that you do know how to make a movie.
Yeah, he does.
You don't.
I mean, and I do like it because when he's doing, he's like, break your one rule, Barry. You're gonna have to break the one rule. So he already knows he can turn back time, which means he's already tried it before.
Yep.
So that's what makes me wonder, is Flashpoint Paradox supposed to be before this film or after?
I believe it's supposed to be after.
See, that's what I'm curious on, because if he's already turned back time multiple times, he should know not to do it now.
Yeah, it was supposed to be after because Cyborg was supposed to be in it, and they had never met until this movie. So
that's true.
Cyborg now is apparently no longer in it. But.
Yeah, and that's one side thing. I did not mind their humor together.
I thought
Cyborg and him, I like these scenes. I enjoy this little comedy.
I like their dynamic.
Yeah.
I like Cyborg. I like everything. And the stuff with his father, and by the way...
The father paid off a lot more in this, too.
So much more. And sacrificing himself, and the way they figure out why he sacrificed himself, I liked that, too. It was like, Cyborg's like, wait, No, what was he doing? He was superheating it so that we'd be able to find its signature. It's like, oh, that's actually, he's a genius. He's a really smart guy. He made a choice to sacrifice himself. And I think... And I liked it.
And I kind of like that point, because Cyborg is kind of torn throughout this whole movie. It felt like I want to be a hero because I have to, but I think that was almost, at least to me, watching it, the pivotal moment where I think this is what makes me a superhero now.
Yeah, and I think...
Because he was sad, he was upset, he was angry.
What we see with Cyborg is, yes, he's very angry. He feels like he's a monster.
He does.
He doesn't want to be a hero. He wants to help people, but he doesn't want to be a hero. And I think there's a difference there.
Yes, I'll give you that. But I think when his dad died and sacrificed himself, he became the hero.
Yeah.
I felt like that switch snapped, and he's like, no, my dad sacrificed himself for all of us.
And I will say the ending of this movie, when he goes into the mother boxes and he sees his family.
Oh, that was kind of heartbreaking.
That was a really good scene. I really liked that. And this is one of those things where, again, Ray Fisher has been very outspoken about what happened during the reshoots. And I think, whatever happened, clearly they destroyed his art.
They really did.
They just completely changed it. And I think having it restored, it's so much better.
Yeah.
For him. Again, there's a lot in this movie that is bloated. There's a lot of work that a 4-hour cut had to do because so many of the characters hadn't been established before.
Exactly.
But I think overall the movie's not bad. I think it's an improvement on the first Justice League. I don't think it's great. It's still not my style of Justice League. It's a Zack Snyder movie, which means it's got a Zack Snyder palette. It's got, his same type of shots that are in it. It's got so much slow-mo. Just literally every action scene has a lot of slow motion in it, which is like, okay, come on, can I just see the action? Yeah. If you gave me all of those slow motion shots, if you cut them and made them actual, just regular speed shots, you'd probably cut 15 minutes in this movie. There's 15 minutes of slow-mo in this cut. So, which is just way too much.
I want to touch on one last thing before we kind of end it. We got a little more Deathstroke. We got a little bit longer scene of the yacht scene.
Correct. Yep.
And we get the nightmare scene, which was pointless for him being there.
That final nightmare sequence, which apparently again was the only new scene they shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means it's the only new footage or if it's the only new scene. Like maybe all of the other scenes, like they might have punched up, they might have done a few things, but this maybe was the only actual scene. And to me, number one, it feels like the only reason they shot it was because they know they're not getting a sequel, and Zack Snyder still wants to set up his sequel that he's never going to get.
Yeah. Which he's hoping, let's face it, he's hoping this is going to give him a sequel.
Of course.
That's what he's hoping for.
But number two, I hated that scene.
I wanted to gouge my eyes out.
I thought the dialogue was bad. I thought Jared Leto's Joker was bad.
People are now praising Jared Leto because of that scene. Screw all y'all. Jared Leto still sucks. Ugh. That was a terrible scene. He's a crappy actor. He's a great singer. I love his music. And I will say that. I love his music. But stop acting as the Joker. You are not a Joker.
And his laugh was terrible. I just, like, and again, like, all the dialogue where they were like...
That scene was...
Him and Batman, which, by the way, I mean, you're the filmmaker here.
Yeah.
The two of them were clearly never in a room together.
It doesn't seem like it.
Clearly they weren't. Because every time one of them was talking, the other one was either out of frame or you only saw, like, a back profile
shoulder. And I really think you're right.
They were clearly never in a room together. And not only does that, like, look bad, but it also, you can tell from the way they're talking that it's not even flowing naturally.
No. And see, one thing I didn't like about that, you know, and again, I like filming, I like doing all this. There's parts where Joker's talking and he's out of focus. And they're not even really focused on the card that he's holding or anything. It's just all out of focus. Yeah. It was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to focus. And then they didn't want to reshoot that scene because of whatever reason. I was so mad because I could get it if you're focusing on the card and he's, you know, you want to emphasize the Joker card. And then maybe like focus, okay, out of focus on that, focus on Jared Leto.
Yeah,
but they never did that until like the last second. He's like, and then it's like, why did you do any of that? The whole dialogue was pointless. Deathstroke being there was pointless. Yep.
Mira is just bad.
Yeah, she's kind of evil now again.
You get Flash not saying anything.
No, he's just chilling.
He's just in his in his suit from Batman v Superman when he comes back to tell Batman that Lois is the key.
Yeah. It's like none of this made sense to me, and I hated every bit of this nightmare scene because again,
it's bad.
It's not setting up. If it was more of a nightmare scene setting up for a like Darkseid's return, like he sees him coming, I could have been sold on that. But this was just a nightmare that Bruce Wayne had, and it just shows he had to wake up to go talk to Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter didn't even need to be in this. No. And first of all, I know you love Batman, and I have to say this comment.
Okay.
Martian Manhunter, he has no idea who he is, shows up at his doorstep, and he's just like,
I want to just kill.
Yeah,
he's just so like, chill.
Cool.
Like he's
how you doing, man?
He's literally like, cool story, bro.
Yeah,
like, that's his literal persona during that scene.
Batman would never do that.
No.
Second, he's like, I'm gonna help you join the Justice League, and he's like, yeah, cool, man. See you Monday. We're gonna go to work together.
Right.
And Batman would have been like, nah, fuck you.
Let me do all my research and find out everything about this guy. Which so Martian Manhunter has two scenes. The first one.
Which is pointless too.
The first one is terrible because that should have been actual Martha Kent.
It should have been.
Like, it's such a better scene if it's actual Martha Kent.
Exactly.
And so when he walks out and changes into Martian Manhunter, I'm like, well, what the hell was that then?
Exactly.
Like, this is terrible. And then the second one, when he shows up, which also, like, you're right, Batman is totally weird, but even then, like, Batman asks him what his name is, and he doesn't say it right away, and then at the final end of the scene, he's like, it's like, there are some who call me Martian Manhunter. And I'm like...
Pinky in his mouth, too. Like,
and I'm like,
that's evil.
That is literally not what Martian Manhunter would say. He would be like, I'm John Johns. Like, he would introduce himself right away. Yeah. That's Martian Manhunter.
It would have been something more along the lines of, I really don't have... Your people wouldn't understand my name, but you may call me John Jones or whatever. It's like, cool, that would make sense. Like, okay, you have this weird name that I don't know. So
it's a badly rendered version of a DC character by Zack Snyder.
It is. It was whole terrible, and I felt... That nightmare scene up to that point took me out of the movie completely because I'm like, none of that is what Batman would do. Batman would have a batarang ready to hit him with it.
The first part of the epilogue I really liked, where we're meeting up with all the characters, we're finding like everything like that, and then it ends with the nightmare sequence and then Martian Manhunter, and it left such a sour taste in my mouth. I was like, that was literally the worst scene of the whole movie. Like the nightmare scene was the worst scene of the whole movie, and I'm including the Martian Manhunter button on that.
Bruce is like, see you Monday. Hey, I'll text you the address. Somehow I have your number. Don't worry. Okay, bye.
So,
whatever. I hated
overall, the movie, I think was actually mostly decent. I think when the first Justice League movie came out, I think I was higher on it than critics. Yeah. I was like, this movie's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like,
where are you at for this one then? So, out of 1 out of 10, like we normally do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw this at like a 6.7. Like, I think it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I will never watch all 4 hours again.
No. I got invited to watch a watch party. I was like, no, it's 4 hours of my life.
I never watched the other one again because these versions of characters are not mine. But I'm gonna take that aside and not just look at my own personal enjoyment. Look at the actual merits of the movie. Look at all of what they did. There is a lot in this that I think works well. Yeah. It's well shot. It's well acted for the most part. There are some, a few wonky CG issues, which again, it's whatever. It's 4 hours long, which is way longer than I would like it to be.
Longer
but
than Titanic.
They told everything that they wanted to tell. There was a lot that they had to tell because it hadn't been set up in previous movies. I still, again, have problems with the characterizations. I still... every time they try and tell you that Superman's a hero in this universe, I'm like, we didn't see that movie.
None of we saw that.
We saw Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and in neither of those movies was Superman the hero of the world.
Especially like you say, his dad was telling him don't do it, so.
And so it really is like they're telling you and not showing you. And when you have a 4-hour movie, you better show me instead of tell me. Exactly. And so I still have problems with it, but I think overall it's not bad. I think it's mostly good. There's a lot there to enjoy. If you love Zack Snyder, you are going to love this version.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. Zack Snyder, I do not love Zack Snyder. Yeah. I think that he's very hit or miss for me. I think the only 2 movies of his that I actually would say I like a lot and have seen more than once are Watchmen and 300.
I forgot about 300, yeah.
So, other than that, everything that I've seen, like, I've seen, his other DC movies once each. And I don't think I'll see this one any more times. So, that's my score. What about you?
So, I'm going to come a lot lower. Well, maybe a lot lower.
Cool.
But, like a 5.1. And now, here's my thing. And I agree with you on everything you said. And my thought process is this. If the bar is way down here, because that's where everyone has Justice League set... Doesn't take much to jump over
Which
it.
I didn't.
Right, you don't.
I think the first one, I probably had it about a 6. So this is like, 6.8. Like
yeah, so it's a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And I just feel for a lot of us, at least for me, for sure, I felt the bar was very, very, very low that you don't really need to jump very high to get over it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's how I felt about this whole movie. Like, yes, it's a good movie. Yes, it's set up. It gives us a lot more story. I still don't like Flash's
You say it's 5.1. That's not a good movie.
It's still better than... Oh, man, there's so many movies that are a lot below that, though. Like... Vanilla Sky.
That doesn't mean this is a good movie, though.
It is better than some.
The way most critic ratings would work is you have to get to at least a 6 to call it a good movie.
Okay, fine. It's an okay movie. Is that better?
There you go.
It's an okay movie at 5.1.
All right.
So, it's okay. It's still not terrible. It's not... Again, it's not something I'm going to ever watch again.
No.
I watched my 4 hours. I gave it my time. I'm able to say, okay, cool. Put my stamp on it like I saw it. I literally got invited to a watch party. I said... I already saw it. I'm not going to waste another 4 hours. They all were excited to see it. I'm like, cool, y'all have fun watching it.
Sure.
And for me, again, I don't like Martian Manhunter. I think those scenes are pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Nightmare scene's pointless. I love Darkseid. And yes, I knew, like you said before, we're not going to get a lot of him, probably. And I didn't expect a lot, but I expected a little bit more than what we got. I didn't like the huge plot hole of Darkseid suddenly forgetting what the anti-life equation is.
Bonk.
Yeah. Where was I at, guys?
What?
Okay, let's go get that planet. I mean, it's like, I don't know about, like, that whole part. And again, we know Steppenwolf comments that he's taken over thousands of worlds or 100,000 worlds or something. And what he does is when he ascends these worlds, he turns everybody into a parademon. So you can't say he didn't have troops because... Right. If you take over 100,000 worlds and there's at least a billion people on there, there's a billion parademons possibly.
Yeah, who knows?
I just don't like any of that. I did like that we got to see Granny Goodness, at least the shot, and we got to see... Desaad, yeah. And I thought those were cool, and Granny Goodness looks like Granny Goodness.
Yeah.
Desaad looks a little bit different, but I actually liked him.
I'm sure if they actually like had scenes, they would have been mischaracterizations of those characters.
Probably.
Oh.
Probably, but at least they didn't say a word. Well, Granny Goodness didn't say a word. Yeah, she just turned around. I was kind of sad that we didn't see the women. I forgot what they call them, the fearsome women or fearsome whatever. I'm sad we didn't see them in the little scene. But like you said, then he's just standing there like, "Bye, Steppenwolf." You mean?
Well, yeah, Steppenwolf's already dead.
Yeah, like,
and he's just looking at the Justice League, and he's like, "All right, we'll be back." And I'm like, "Why don't you just kill him now?"
I could kill
your
all
Darkseid.
Right, but I'm not. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna brood on this for a moment too, because I'm a brooding character like everybody in this film was.
Hey, we've got sequels to set up. Okay,
that's never gonna happen.
There are supposed to be 2 more, which Number one, I don't want them.
No.
I think you don't want them based on your.
I heard the third one's story was.
Yeah, I heard about that too. We don't need to talk about that now. Anyways, so I don't. Not only do I not want them, I'm fairly certain we're not going to get them.
No.
But on the other hand, this has been a big critical and
so far
success. Whether it's financial success, I don't know. I mean, it's on HBO Max. Did it drive a ton of subscriptions? Maybe all of the chatter that was coming out this last week, where people were praising it and saying it's
the Russo brothers commented on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of whether it's critics or fans, people are really praising this movie. And so, is that maybe causing some people that were like, I'm not going to see it, now they're going to go, well, actually, maybe I will subscribe to HBO Max and go see it. So maybe this will turn into a financial success for them. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine they're going to give Zack Snyder another movie, because here's the thing. He's already proven twice that he can't make a good movie with the parameters they set. Because he couldn't have made this movie this good in a 2-hour cut, which is clearly what they wanted. His Batman v Superman, it's not good.
No.
The extended version is slightly better, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
And it's almost 3 hours long, which, again, they wouldn't let him put that in theaters.
No.
And so that's the thing, is they're not going to bring him back and say, all right, we need another 2-hour Justice League sequel to this. He's not going to be able to do it. He already knows he can't do it.
He's going to say, I need 3 hours. Look what Endgame did. It did 3 hours and it did good. Look at my SnyderCut. It did great at 4 hours.
And WB is going to say, no, you get 2 hours, and, here's the check, and go. And then he's going to come back with 4 hours of footage, and they're going to say, we said cut it down to 2. Do that now, and we're going to get a terrible movie that's half of what he wants.
And then we're going to wait 2 years later and get SnyderCut again.
It's just not going to happen. We're not going to get the sequels to this.
No.
To this movie.
Enjoy what you got and be done with it. And again, I want to know what everyone thinks down below. I know people are kind of at odds with it. So let us know in the comments. Did you like it? Did you not? Do you agree with us? I don't know. Again, I think if you set the bar low enough, anyone can make a better movie if you had 4 hours to do it.
Alright, so let's talk about Zack Snyder's 4 DC movies before we sign off.
Okay.
So Man of Steel, the 2 BVS cuts, the theatrical and the extended, and then this movie.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and rank them first.
Go for it.
So I think Man of Steel is the best of those 4.
Yes.
I think this Justice League Snyder cut is next. The extended BVS is after that, and then theatrical BVS. That's my order.
I would probably have to go the same, because I love, me, I actually really do like Man of Steel.
I think it's the best of these movies. I think it's slight. I would probably give that a 7 out of 10. This is a 6.8 out of 10. So they're close.
Yeah. And so I love Man of Steel. This one wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. So this would go second. I hated Batman v Superman.
Yeah. The theatrical cut of Batman v Superman is one of the worst superhero movies that's ever been made. And I've seen Supergirl, and
Wait, do we count Daredevil in this?
I've seen Daredevil. I've seen the 1990 Captain America movie, okay? And that Batman v Superman movie, that theatrical cut, was one of the worst because it had so much potential. Because it could have been amazing. And it was terrible.
He threw 1990s
I've seen that movie, and that movie is awful. It's one of the worst movies.
Wait, have you seen Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. with David Hasselhoff?
I have not.
Okay. But I was like, wait.
But I've seen Elektra. Yeah. That one's worse than BVS. I was like,
don't put that one up there with that, please.
But, yeah. And so, clearly, Zack Snyder is not either one of our favorite directors. I don't really care.
2 you said, Watchmen and 300 are all I like from him.
Yeah, I don't really care for his superhero movies. Watchmen is mainly just lifted from the comics, so he didn't really do much creatively there. Although the ending that they changed, I thought worked really well.
It worked a lot better.
And so, I will give him credit for that. But yeah, he's not my filmmaker to make superhero movies. These movies are not the movies I want from a Justice League. I really hope DC changes it up and gets back to first Wonder Woman vibes. Shazam I really liked.
Oh, I love Shazam.
And maybe, we can get an interesting Flash movie. Maybe Shazam 2. But when we get back to the third Wonder Woman, it'll actually be good again, because number 2 was...
Maybe, but then Batman's going to be like, hey, will you join the Justice League? We start at 8 o'clock. He's just going to be, cool about it. Come on, everyone can join.
Well, we're not going to have Ben Affleck anymore. We are going to be getting Robert Pattinson, the Batman, which that movie looks awesome.
That one looks better.
I'm so excited, and hopefully it works. But we'll see. So... anyways, those are our thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Hopefully you watched the full 4 hours before coming here. But if not, and we spoiled everything for you, it's okay. You can still go watch it. You can still enjoy it. Enjoy it. This movie, I think it was better than I expected it to be.
I will give you
going in. But I was not blown away as many people were, and if you were one of those, more power to you. But I still had a lot of problems with this movie.
I do too.
And mainly it's with the characterization of the characters. Like I think not only do I not like them, but I think it is inconsistent at times where they're telling you they're inspirational and heroic, but what you actually see is them murder people and not care about it.
Exactly, and that's true. So let us know down below. Did you like them? Did you hate them? And what do you thought? What we thought? I'm curious what you think. Maybe we're completely wrong. Maybe we're completely right. But let us know. And don't forget to subscribe, guys, and like. Go to facebook.com/officialGYGO and follow us there as well. On that one, stay geeky, guys, and get your geek on.
Hey.